talk to people about healthcare, right?
Yep.
Tell me about it.
Well, so yeah, we're in a class called Issues in Public Health right now, and it's a service learning course. So basically, our project was to work with the United Interfaith Health Coalition, and their goal right now, it's in the assessment stages when they came to talk to us, but they want to set up a new free health clinic in Kalamazoo, and there was one until 2010 when it shut down due to funding and other reasons.
Absolutely.
And so they're
Edison neighborhood.
yeah. And so they are looking to start a new one. So we worked with them, and what they wanted us to do was conduct interviews with individuals in the Kalamazoo community who have had experiences with the health system in Kalamazoo, whether that be different, like lack of or loss of health insurance, experiences with emergency rooms, hospitals, anything really, and kind of see how a free clinic would benefit these people, if it would, and
Or if there's even like a demand.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. And so how long did it take you to find people to reach out to before you actually got to talk to them?
It was different for every person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were kind of saying that most of us started out going in pairs, just to, a little less nerve-wracking that way. But basically, in about our fourth week of the quarter, we chose different places around Kalamazoo to go. Ask people if they wanted to share their stories, and some people got interviews the first day. Some people, it took a few tries, I guess, to be successful with getting stories that they could use.
So Megan, tell me about a story. Like, which one really impacted you?
Okay, well, that was my very first one, definitely. This individual I talked to immediately just jumped right into it, and I didn't even have to ask him any questions. He literally just went on and on and on about, basically almost told me his whole life story. It was like the craziest thing ever.
Wow.
It was like really, really insane experience, but that was.
So what were some of the things
He was just telling me all of these things that, like, I believe he didn't tell me exactly what he was suffering from, but I believe it was like some type of mental illness.
Okay.
But he was just telling me about how, like, he'd been in all these, like, gang fights and stuff, and how he, like, had stabbed himself with, like, a Bowie knife, and all of these insane things that he just kept going on and on about. And he'd been, like, pronounced dead.
Wow.
Several times, but all these things, it's like not even, I don't know if it was necessarily true or not, but to just listen to him kind of describe.
So how did he get treated?
He, like, always said that he had never had someone who constantly just didn't give up on him. So he never had someone that would sit there and treat him consistently. So there was always therapists and people that just couldn't handle him anymore. So, and then recently, the main thing that he suffered from was losing coverage on Medicaid.
Wow.
So he wasn't receiving the care that he needed.
Why did he say why he left?
I'm not entirely sure, but I believe it was because of, he said that he had inheritance money or something.
He had some money. Yeah.
So
it was assets.
Yeah, I think it was.
Ineligible. Okay. So he gets hurt. He goes to get treatment.
Yeah. I don't even know how he gets the care that he needs. I don't think he does.
So do you think that he had the capacity to understand, like, this is the Affordable Care Act, and this is the kind of the vehicle that's going to get you access or not?
Well, he was a very, very intelligent individual.
Okay.
He was saying that he could, like, manipulate electronic devices, like, put, like, computers inside of TVs and get them to do crazy things. And he also said that he, like, went out in the community and just gave people things and, like, big coats if they needed coats and stuff. So he's, like, very engaged in the community from what he told me.
So do you think when you said the words healthcare to him,
Oh, yeah.
did that resonate
Yes.
with the community thing too?
Yeah, no, definitely. He said he was gaining some of his the meds that he needed, working with this one organization. I believe it was he called it Kalamazoo Mental Health, but I believe it was like this organization. I can't remember the exact name of it.
Kalamazoo Community Mental Health.
I don't know if it was. I feel like it was the one that was substance abuse and.
Kalamazoo CMC.
Yeah, I think that was it. But,
so he was able, even without having Medicaid covered, he was able to access some services through
yes.
CMH, the county program.
Yeah.
So what about you, Julia? Which story just really, you're like,
probably the second interview I did was with this 6-year-old man in Kalamazoo, and he's experiencing homelessness, and he has been for since he's been in Kalamazoo, which was like at least 10 years, I think. But during the time that we were talking, everyone that I interviewed outside the train station, and so it was outside, and there were like people around, and it seemed like every single person that walked by, they would exchange greetings, and he knew everyone. Everyone knew him.
Wow.
And so he was definitely like when I first asked how would you characterize your health overall, and without hesitation he said, my health is great. But then once we got into it, there was a lot more going on.
You gave him a reality check.
Well, I mean, I didn't come out and say, well, actually, you're not healthy at all, because health is different to every person. But just in our minds, like he had gout in his toes, he walked everywhere. He spends his nights at the Kalamazoo Gospel Mission, which he was explaining how the less than ideal situation there. He actually does have a job right now, which he it sounds like he's in really good terms with his boss and everything, so that's good. So I think he gets a little bit of income that way, but basically uses the Family Health Center as his main
so he may not have like Medicaid or something, he may be just using the county health plan and accessing health services through the Family Health Center.
It sounded that's what was going on.
Okay. Wow.
But he was the same way as Megan's interview, like he didn't really have to be prompted to keep talking, and he told me, way more than I was expecting, and it was just like it was awesome to just get his story, because it's just someone with such different a life story so different than mine.
Right.
And
exactly.
it was just we became friends. We met up a second time to kind of get more information, more about his health, and that sort of thing. And so he introduced me to a lot of people around, and was definitely very willing to help me with this project.
Did you ever ask him when was the last time they actually been to a doctor?
Yeah, and basically, well, for him, I guess the only experiences he shared with me was the Family Health Center. It seemed like that was what he was focused on. That's where he had been going, and then maybe when he was younger, a couple of a different interview we had told me about a time he was covered when he was much younger, but now that he's on his parents' plan.
So he was on his parents' plan, then aged out, and now he has no coverage at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was my third interview, so different kind of things, but yes.
So did you get a chance to talk to your guy about when the last time he had been to the doctor, or?
I feel like he hadn't been to actual doctor's visit or being treated in a very long time. And he said that he had last classes from 15 years ago, and hadn't seen a dentist in 5 to 10 years. It was just like.
Did they ever talk about going and not getting service because they didn't have medical coverage, or being denied for any reason?
I feel like my interviewee just didn't even try because he knew that if he didn't have coverage, he wasn't going to afford it, and he just didn't even try.
So what were some of did you guys like pick some questions in the beginning, like these are 3 or 4 or 5 questions? What were some of the questions that you asked, and what were some of the responses?
What was the one that we always introduced with?
Well, besides like the main sort of like icebreaker, like, oh, so how long have you been in Kalamazoo, just to kind of like get to know the person. The first question that we brought us was like, how do you characterize your health? How would you describe your overall health? And then so that might get them talking, it might give them one-word answer, but more like, have you ever had? Has there ever been a time where you were without health insurance? That was, I mean, definitely we wanted to get that answer. If they had kids, if they were covered.
Yeah,
that's an excellent question. Did they have?
There were a couple, I think, interviews that people did in our class that they had children that didn't get care.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 of my interviewees had kids, but were not. The kids were living with
Other people. Okay. Oh, I thought that was you. So I heard you I heard you saying that this project was really for you guys to figure out, is there a need? And do people recognize it? So like, now that you've evaluated, you've heard from people, what do you think? Like, you have the opportunity to have health care, the Affordable Care Act, or not have it. How do you think this will impact the people that you all had a chance to spend some one-on-one time?
Well, it's hard to say.
Well, I know you don't want to put words in people's mouth, but it's like, knowing what you know about the people that are suffering in our community, is it something we need, or it doesn't really matter, or is this an issue that we have to keep talking about?
I think it definitely needs to be talked about, personally. I don't think we're at a stage where we can say this is the solution and this is what's going to solve our issues. Because we don't even necessarily, we talk about this all the time in class. You can't even really define the issue. So it's like, how can you come up with a solution when you don't really know what the issues are? Like, I mean, we spend time talking to people trying to figure out what their issues are, what they need, and it's still like really hard to say what the actual problems are. So I feel like it just needs to continuously be there.
But were you able to help make that connection that, listen, what's happening in government impacts your ability to walk into a clinic and receive services or not? Or were they able to make that connection?
I guess I never talked about that specifically, the affordable care with any of my interviewees. However, I did kind of with the older gentleman that I was talking about before, talked about like how we were trying to work with a group to put up a free health clinic, and he said right away, well, like, I don't think that's what Kalamazoo needs. So it sounded like for him, the family health center at this point is like, is what that was. And then we also learned that there are like, the family health center can serve only so many people, and so there are a lot of people who aren't receiving care. So I think there is a place for free health clinic, but I think there are people who are going to say that maybe other things need to be happening in Kalamazoo for
just to meet other needs.
To meet needs, yes.
Right. So you don't have to pigeonhole everybody into one thing.
Exactly.
So overall, your classmates, did you talk to more men than women, more people of color than not? Like, kind of what was the...
We never actually looked at a specific, actual breakdown, did we?
I put it together. I can't tell you exactly. I know there were definitely more males than females, and there were more it was like relatively close, I think, but more African American individuals than white. But and then like very few Hispanics and other races. But yeah, I like So that those two.
So, some of your experience, like, you walked away thinking what?
So many things. Okay. First and foremost, like, I was so glad to be able to do this because I have never really had the opportunity or just like never put myself in a situation to interact with individuals who like the ones that we interact with. Definitely like much different experiences in Kalamazoo than I have had. Definitely like 2 blocks away, and we have just very different lives.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that there is a need for to just provide like help, even just like basic needs that aren't being met within individuals. And that like there's a lack of awareness as well.
Like, did your heart bleed or break a little bit because you're these people that, like, having access to healthcare should be a human right.
Yeah.
So, like it should be like a no-brainer. So did it make you feel like, oh my God, I gotta work harder to help these people?
Yes, I wanted to help them like right there. I wish there was something I could do right then and there.
What was your impression, lady?
Yeah, I would say overall, it was just really, it was hard to stop looking. Like, that was the biggest thing that I really understood from it. It was like, these people look like they're suffering, but yet, like Julia said, they say that their health is fine.
Right.
So it's like, it's just so interesting to say.
Well, maybe when you live day to day just trying to stay alive,
Yeah.
that's like fine.
Yeah,
That's
no,
good. We're good.
It's a good day.
I woke up. I'm here.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to share? You guys want to talk about your experience?